Yep.
Well, welcome back to Falun. The sun keeps shining and Norway keep hauling in the gold medals. 2 in the individual sprint, 2 in the team sprints, and of course on the men's 100-meter hill last night. So 5 golds already for Norway, and the Swedes have got a bit of catching up to do. I know they took the silver in the women's team sprint, but they want more and they want to outdo their neighbours, and that is just not happening at the moment. Well, I don't think many people are going to disagree. 28 seconds, the difference between Norway and Germany, who start first. So the 4x5 coming up shortly. Mike Dixon ready to go in the commentary box. And this, of course, for the Nordic combined team event gold medal. The dancers are out, the conditions are just darkening a little as the evening draws on. Coming up to 4 o'clock local time here in Falun, and we're ready to go with the team event cross-country phase, and the loop is tight and fast. Over to you, Mike, in the commentary box. Enjoy this one.
Thank you for that, Patrick, and certainly the dancing is brightening up the start area here, and unfortunately a number of the spectators have decided to depart, hopefully coming back after a little snack and a break. Temperature, you mentioned, Patrick, the darkness beginning to come along, and with that the temperatures are dropping slightly, although I must say the conditions are the best we've seen since the World Championships started some 5 days ago. Well, there we have it, Germany, Japan, France and Austria, and so little separating them. And of course we cannot forget Norway, only 28 seconds behind. So Austria and Norway, see how the US can cope today. I really hope they can move forward from their 8th position by some margin. And slowly the 10 teams unfold out onto the snow in the arena, ready for the 5 kilometers before they hand over to their teammates. Edelman, Frenzo, Riesle and Rydzek. It's a good team, but so is the Norwegian team at 28 seconds behind the Norwegians, with Magnus Moen, Halvard Clemensen, Mikko Kokslin and Jürgen Grobak. So 5 teams within 28 seconds, then there's a gap to 1:27 back to Italy, but the way that Alessandro Pitin skied 2 days ago in the 10 kilometer, who knows what can happen, but unlikely to get back into the medals position. Tino Edelman, nice and relaxed, will lead out by 4 seconds. As I said, 2 years ago it was France, Norway, USA, Japan, Austria, and unexpectedly Germany. Strange things happen at World Champs. They've barely been off the podium at major championships, mostly silvers. But two years ago they finished in 6th position. I'm sure we won't be seeing anything strange like that this year, but we shall have to wait and see. Final moments before the 4x5 relay gets underway. World Championships, Team Gundersen. 4 athletes, 5 kilometers the journey. Norway, Magnus Moen, just getting his final little psych up before the competition. My name's Mike Dixon with you for this one. And I'm expecting some 12 minutes, maybe even quicker. It's not a difficult track, this, except when it comes back to the stadium. Maybe 12 minutes as the fastest time today. So, under starters' orders, it's Germany, Japan, France, Austria and Norway. And off they go. Tino Edelman, the man from Zella-Mellis, the former East Germany, and wonderful training facilities there in jumping, biathlon and cross-country skiing. France ready to pounce, and Francois Brault, there he goes. 14 seconds deficit. Will he try and pull that back quickly? It's a good idea if he can, but is it possible that he can actually pull back on Tino Edelman? I'm not sure it is. So Austria, and that little trip there from Austria. Philippe Orter, the 21-year-old, will challenge Magnus Moen, renowned as one of the fastest skiers. And I think we can see straight away what the intent there is from Magnus Moen. Pull this time back quickly, if at all possible. The young and talented Philippe Orter will try, and he would love to stay with Magnus Moen. I hope he can, but he's certainly trying to achieve just that. Now ready to start. I mentioned 1:27 back to Italy. It's a long journey for Armin Bauer to pull back. There he is with Lukas Rungaldier. He will hand over to then Samuel Costa, and the rocket, the man on skis, Alessandro Pittin, taking the anchor leg, but a long, long way behind. 2.5 kilometers lap, and they will go round that twice, having passed through the stadium. There's Italy underway. Armin Bauer on his journey back to 1:36 to Thomas Porchik. There he goes, and the USA just another 3 seconds, and Brian Fletcher taking the USA out. And again, Brian will be trying very quickly. The man from Steamboat Springs will be trying to close these gaps rapidly. Well, Tahai Keto, it's all or nothing. He's closed up the 4 seconds, and that anyone who's out there who is taking part in any sports, running, cross-country skiing, pulling back quickly 4 seconds, it comes at a cost. So this is as far up to the left of the ski jump that we go, and quite honestly, the track in this first 2 minutes is very simple, just a gentle incline. And there's Magnus Moen. Glued onto him is Philippe Orter, and that's a good strategy. The Austrians want a medal today. Started in 4th, 28 seconds off the pace. Lukas Klappfer next for Austria, then the wonderful Bernhard Gruber, ranked 2nd in the world this season. And Sepp Schneider will take the anchor leg for Austria. Francois Brault just looking relaxed. I'm sure he's absolutely expecting that Magnus Moen will come past him. And out on the track, another little right-hander, then the little descent under the bridge, and then we have a gentle climb. Well, Japan and Tahai Kato taking the initiative. Good glide on his skis. Francois Brault keeping an eye on what's happening out front. Is Tino Edelman playing tactics here? Is he happy to tuck in behind? Certainly looks faster on this descent section. Back into the stadium, and now this is the difficult part of the track. This is the part of the race where, if you've been with us earlier, the sprint team competition came up here. It's a little omega with the track cutting back within this hill climb again. Now a good chance to see what's happened to the 28 seconds separating these 5 teams. Very impressed with Francois Brault, looking pretty comfortable. And look at the aggression, the attack from Philippe Orter, 21-year-old from Austria. Certainly has become accustomed to winning ways, Orter. 3 golds at the Junior World Championships. So another talented find from the Austrians, or not a find, a creation. They have a great program for developing their Nordic combined athletes. So what's going on in the mind of Tino Edelman? Is he within himself? I think he might be. Not opening up to full pace yet. Often we find, if you're with us throughout the season at Eurosport International, we find that these cross-country parts of the Nordic combined can be very, very tight finishes. The teams catch up, stick together, and then it becomes a very tactical affair. The descent, this is fast. I said it might be 12 minutes per lap, maybe slightly quicker. When I say per lap, I mean per 5 kilometers, 2 times around this 2.5 kilometer track. It's fast and it's furious, and France back into it. We heard in some of the interviews this morning, and certainly talking to the coaches, that the spirit could not be higher in the French team. They've been together, this incredible group of Frenchmen, from a young age. They know each other well. they support each other well, they fight for each other well, and very quickly absorbing that 14-second deficit. Francois Brault into the stadium. Well, 5:41. Now that is rapid skiing. So maybe just over 11 minutes, the time for the first 5 kilometer. And it's tight. It is very tight. Germany, Japan, and France between 1.2 seconds, and then back to Magnus Moon in 7.4 seconds behind, and Austria 7.9. What effect that first lap has had. It was 28 seconds. Back to Austria and Norway. Still some work to do to close the gap entirely. And then it becomes a very tactical affair. Francois Brault just, he's wanting to save something. Just maybe the team orders were get back to the front, pull back the 14 seconds. Tino Edelman looks like he's beginning to pick the pace up, beginning to react to the fact that there are now 4 teams almost breathing on him. We know that Tahai Kato has been there, and that's a great performance from the man from Sapporo Nordic Ski Club. Magnus Moen showing his strength. Philip Orter maybe suffering from his early enthusiasm, his youthful enthusiasm at 21-year-old, in amongst a very experienced group of athletes. Often teams want to put their experience first. You need a good player on the first leg, and in terms of the Norwegian team, they have that with Magnus Moen. And then not the best of jumpers, Magnus Moen, but already from the deficit that, well, he played a small part in creating, he's pulled that back, almost got Norway straight back into medal contention. Håvard Clemenson, we saw him jump there at the start of this program. The longest jump today at 101 meters. And as Patrick alluded to, sometimes when you are the best jumper, you're not quite the best in terms of the endurance cross-country skiing. So I think the Norwegian team very sensibly placing Håvard Clemenson on the second leg. So their weakest man going second, and team orders must have been for Magnus Moen to get up with a lead and possibly try and break this group to hand Håvard Clemenson an advantage. Magnus Moen will take a breather. After 8 minutes, he might just catch his breath and then put in an attack. His ski pole was skied over there, sadly, by Orter. So, the world champion, the reigning world champions at the front. The French team won 2 years ago in Val d'Effième, and already Francois Brault at the front. But there's nothing in it. It's a tactical race now. Kato second, Tino Edelman third, Magnus Moen restless in fourth, and surely he'll want to try and carry some time advantage in handing over to Håvard Clemenson. I think he needs to. It would be great if he could separate this group by some 6-8 seconds. I'm not sure it's possible, but he's going to try. Back into the stadium, only 9 minutes 20 seconds into the base of the biggest, the toughest part. It is quite honestly an easy track from what these Nordic combined athletes are used to. But Tino Edelman, he took the first rotation slowly, and maybe he was saving himself for this moment to deceive the others by hiding around in second and third place. Magnus Moen has tried but cannot respond, and already Francois Brault, leading into this climb, is way back some 6 seconds behind. Great strategy there from Tino Edelman, and look what he's created in one simple move up the savage climb. But he's got a second climb to deal with here, and he's destroyed the group which were together. Well, that was impressive. Tino Edelman, where did you find that from? Look at this desire, almost looking like the sprint races we witnessed earlier in the team sprint competition. Magnus Moen looking caught sleeping, looking quite heavy now, and Francois Brault struggling. Kato tried some of the early initiative, but a little destroyed from that move at the front there from Tino. And Philip Orter, the work he put in early, he's now suffering. 10:35 on the clock, and Germany, big advantage. I'm sure Norway would have wanted and expected Magnus Moen to have closed that gap and maybe opened up at the front. Now he's chasing second. Well, Francois Brault about to hand over, and great job there from Tino Edelman. He deceived the rest with his strategy, his little resting tactics. But it's Germany, 11:08. It is just over 11 minutes. Norway 4 seconds behind, and it's the slowest man now in second place, Håvard Clemenson. France 8.6 behind, and Japan 12.1. Where is Austria? Well, there is Austria, and the talented 21-year-old struggling at the end. But he put in a huge effort early on, and maybe, just maybe, that was his downfall. Look at Tino Edelman, flattened on the ground after that exertion. Well, what happens next? Germany with Erik Frenzel now. They've got a good man in Erik Frenzel, but he definitely struggled just 2 days ago in the Team Gundersen. In fact, 3 days ago, I beg your pardon, where he set off in first place by 21 seconds, was caught rather quickly after one lap, and then eventually finishing outside the medals. So Germany at the front. You can see the stadium area down there in the far distance, and it is a gentle climb, nothing too technical. It's just a slog. This is a little rise. You get a tiny recovery through the stones left and right. I am so impressed with Håvard Clemenson. He said he was feeling good today. And generally the weakest skier in the Norwegian team, but he's pulled back that deficit immediately. No messing about, straight into action. But will he be found out later? Again, we'll have to wait and see. So second leg, athletes underway. And the fastest on the previous leg, it was Magnus Moen. I'm just getting some split timings coming through. He had set a time of 10:45. And well done to Brian Fletcher, second fastest time in 10:54.9. Austria, third fastest, 11:01. France, 11:03. Germany and Tino Edelman, 11:08. Now then, Frenzel, Clemenson hanging on. Maxime Le Heurt, 6.1 seconds behind, keeping his tempo going. And good to see Japan keeping the fight going is Yoshito Watabe, his brother taking the anchor leg. Now, what are Austria managing out there? Lukas Klapfer, 26. Well, they were at 24 seconds on the handover. Austria looking like they're struggling at the moment. Now, Austria, the reigning bronze medalist from a year ago at the Olympic Games. That's when Germany now in first place. They took the silver. Norway took the gold. Now, Erik Frenzel was very disappointed not to get a medal. He thought he'd get a medal of some colour 2 days ago, and making up for that today. Was caught quite quickly, but by Håvard Clemenson. Now he's back into his full tempo and pace. Håvard Clemenson having a look back, and what he's seeing is bad news. He's seeing alongside him is Maxime Le Heurt closing in his peripheries, looking out his left eye. He can see him now. Erik Frenzel keeping the pace strong and making his aura being felt again. He's leading the World Cup by a huge margin. I think it's 241 points. Erik Frenzel leads the way in this season's World Cup with 7 victories. Now, Austria coming back into it. Lukas Klapfer beginning to close the gap on Yoshito Watabe. Japan in a little bit of bother at the moment. Here's the climb within the climb. Back up, and then you sweep round to the left. Now, Eric Frenzel really is on fire. He's wanting to make up for his lack of medals 2 days ago when he set off first. He had the world of Nordic combined chasing him, and they caught him. Today, he's making them chase, and the gap is opening. 15:53 gone, and it's looking pretty good at this moment for Germany with Frenzel at the front. He will hand over to Fabian Riesle. Johannes Rützek taking the anchor leg, the man on form. Up the final bridge with another 2.5 kilometer lap to complete. Now Maxim Le Heurt is caught and passed Håvard Clemenson. Clemenson, team orders will be to stay with the Frenchman at all costs, try and take the discomfort, stay with the pace to give Norway and Mikko and Jürgen Grobak a chance. But at the moment we're at the front. Beautiful technique here from Eric Frenzel. The lack of confidence from 3 days ago, it's a thing of the past. Le Heurt 8.5 and Clemenson 8.8 seconds behind, and you can see Austria coming through, closing the gap marginally. It was down to 26, it's now 23.8 for Austria, and Watabe 25.3. One more rotation before these athletes hand over. And another fantastic race here in Falun. Eric Frenzel leading the way here in Falun, the World Championships, gold, silver, bronze medals at stake here. And look at the wonderful balance. He compresses through the right side, glides over on his left. Now he's changed gear. That was skate 3 into skate 2 up the gentle climb. And I must say, the Americans putting in a strong performance here. Only 1:15 behind. Great job there from the Americans. And Taylor Fletcher, he was handed over to from his brother Brian. Great effort, Taylor Fletcher, pulling America back into this one. Big fight going on there behind, long way behind Eric Frenzel. This composure and balance, I love it, absolutely love it. The explosiveness of his legs there, or in the freestyle technique, not quite as explosive here. You can see that from Maxim Le Heurt. No disrespect, but it is all about the explosiveness there and there. The lower leg extending straight, getting as much drive through these skis. Now, this looks like Eric Frenzel is picking up the pace. Was 8 seconds. I think he's extending it further. Le Heurt going through a little phase in his race where it's survival rather than attack and close the gap. And Håvard Clemenson all the while trying so hard to stay with it. Frenzel's been told, given the team orders, that they're actually hurting behind him. They're beginning to struggle, and it seems to have re-energized his race. So 3.8 kilometers. Let's have a look at the time. It was 8 seconds. Eric Frenzel putting in a fantastic performance here. It's opening up. It's certainly opening up. It was 8 for Maxim Le Heurt. 8.2 and 8.8, I think it was, at the stadium. And now look at that. They've lost 10 and 11 seconds, respectively, giving Austria a chance to close in. And Lukas Klapfer, great job from Lukas. Watabe now just going ahead of him. Well, the fight really is on. So Frenzel setting the pace here and opening up the gaps. Now next for Germany is Fabian Riesle and then Johannes Rützek. Riesle 9th 2 days ago. Didn't have the best of ski times, but this is looking very convincing indeed, coming up to the halfway with just the 2 major climbs to go. And Tino Edelman looking, Eric Frenzel, I beg your pardon, Tino went first, Eric Frenzel looking fantastic. keeping this wonderful push and drive going. 20 minutes, 30 seconds gone, and quite honestly, he's destroying the French charge, which we saw from Maxime Leheurt. It's destroyed that charge. Leheurt's spirit broken just a little, and Håvard Clemenson just hanging on in there behind the Frenchman. Well, Maxime Leheurt knows full well that this is a vital part of the race. He needs to keep the attack on this climb, get some recovery on this descent, and attack again. Oh, in fact, he's having a little look across his right shoulder, and what he sees is bad news, I think, because he sees Austria and Japan closing the gap. All the while, Eric Frenzel is feeding off this positive, the positive that he's creating a bigger gap. Look at this. It's almost as if he could have taken part in the team sprint race earlier. The out-and-out cross-country skiers. So strong was the attack up this second climb. Håvard Clemenson beginning to take the initiative, trying to close the gap. I'm not sure he's going to achieve that, but he wants to hand over to Mikko Koksleen, his next runner for Norway. And all the while behind him, it's Gruber will be handed over to from Lucas Klapfer. Here's Klapfer. Now this is a brave performance. Huge attack up the second of the stadium climbs. Well, coming into the closing stages, and another great job from the overall reigning World Cup leader at the moment. You can see Fabian Riesle punching his ski poles into the snow here. The final aggression, he knows this is important. They want medals, and they have had few that are gold in this competition at the majors over many years. It was silver at the Olympics 2 years ago in this event in Val di Fiemme. It was silver in 2011 in Oslo, and it was bronze at the Olympic Games in Vancouver for Germany. So they really want the gold today, and it's looking pretty good. Norway on the chase now, with France adrift by just over 2 seconds. Bit of a slow change there from Austria. And come on, Japan, try and stay with the pace. Japan a little detached at 36.2. And Hideki Nagai being handed over to, you can see the efforts from previous athletes floored. Welcome back, the World Championships. It's the Team Gundersen 4x5 kilometers, and out front you can see there it's Fabian Riesle. He's been handed over to from Eric Frenzel, who put in an astounding performance, destroying, opening up the gaps to hand over. Almost 18 seconds ahead of Norway, and France just a couple of seconds behind them. And France still with Koksleen from Norway, third leg. So the race is on and closing in to the final stages of the race. There's Bernhard Gruber in fourth place, 29 seconds behind. Nagai 34.3, desperately trying to close the gap to bring them up to some kind of chance, some hope for a medal, with Akito Watabe taking up the anchor leg. They know he's their fastest, he's their key man. I must inform you though that further back at the changeover, as we watch the leader here, Fabian Riesle, all the while the United States team are hauling back time. The Fletcher brothers both set the fastest pace on each of their legs. So the United States from 8th to 7th, but still adrift by 1:14. And a chance to move up into 6th with Italy just ahead of them, but it is then quite a gap to Japan, who are only 36 seconds off the pace. Now then, already coming up into the stadium, and Mikko Koksleen trying to close the gap. I think marginally he's achieving that. You can see Germany there right down the descent, traveling some 50 kilometers an hour into that corner. And then the inner climb back up the hill here, as we look at Bernhard Gruber. Won a World Cup recently in Val di Fiemme, on form. But there seems to be a team spirit here, a drive from the German team. I mentioned earlier, we just haven't seen them at the top of the podium for a very long time at a major. They've been in the medals often with silver, 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 silver and silver since 2006. But not a gold. Are they going to put that ghost behind them today? France inspired, the team spirit plays a huge part to team performance, and Sébastien Lacroix, the 31-year-old, has just moved ahead of Mikko Kokslien. The Norwegians do have a good card to play, and of course in Jürgen Grobak, one of the fastest cross-country skiers out there in Nordic combined. Now then, Fabian Riesle coming into the stadium. He'll go straight through this time, having achieved 2.5 kilometers. Lovely technique, taking a little breather, staying low into the headwinds, and just resting the arms before this next up climb. But have a look behind him. The gap surely is closing. It is, but not by much. It was 17.9 to Norway, and now it's 17.5. So Team Norway, you need to pick it up if you want to threaten for a gold, if you want to challenge for a gold. Lacroix doing a great job there for France. The 31-year-old hanging on in there with Norway. Bernard Gruber, he sees ahead of him the work that he has to do to close this gap. This 14-second gap, it doesn't sound much, but on your cross-country skis in these wet snow conditions, it's not easy. And there's Nagai, Areki Nagai, desperately trying to keep the momentum going. He knows he's got a good player in Akito Watabe next. But I fear that the Japanese team may leak a little more time this next rotation. Now, what's happening back here? Mikko Kokslien, did he take it within himself first time round? Has he saved anything for an attack on the second time around this 2.5 kilometer track? No matter what he does, I think we can safely say that Sébastien Lacroix is having a great day, raising his performance, pushing hard to stay with the Norwegian. This looks again, Fabian Riesle. Look at the drive through his arms. We saw him resting them in the stadium. Was it for this moment? This is, again, wonderful skiing. The explosiveness there and the drive out, compressing all his weight through there and there, through the edges. That's where you get your momentum. That's where you get your forward drive in the sport. Through the arms, through the legs, combined. He's sensing that Kokslien at last is picking up the pace. Mikko Kokslien, I heard the coaches shouting advice. Or was it shouting? Or was it shouting? Get a move on. Kokslien definitely reacting, looking sparky, looking dynamic. And as Kokslien has picked up his pace, Sébastien Lacroix is beginning to become detached. There's Kokslien in the background. There's Lacroix, come on. Can he just close that gap? Can he maintain the phenomenal pace there from Mikko Kokslien? He's trying hard, but once that gap opens, it's so difficult to close it again. Very rarely is that closed. I think if you were watching yesterday, Alex Harvey became detached, and one of the few times in the final couple of kilometers in a 30-kilometer race do you ever see an athlete closing the gap once it's opened, and Alex Harvey showed us how that was done to again take a medal in his World Championships. That was in the skiathlon yesterday. But back to the Nordic combined, and Bernie Gruber has dropped back to 36 and Nagai to 51. Such a pity. So Austria 36, Japan 51 behind. I'll keep you informed as the teams come through that check mark. Mikko Kokslien can see ahead of him the work that he has to do, and he's trying so hard to close the gap, but there's an energy, there's a drive from the German team today. They want this gold medal. They haven't had it for such a long time. Norway, the reigning champions, in silver medal position at the moment. Norway, the silver medal from 2 years ago in Val di Fiemme, the World Championships. They want gold. France, well, of course, as I mentioned earlier, 2 years ago in Val di Fiemme at the World Championships, it was all about France. They beat Norway to the line by only 0.4 of a second. And look at the drive here from Fabien Riesler. And he's once again getting rid of Norway. This is a big surprise. Norway were very confident that on the cross-country skis, the cross-country part of this Nordic combined, they could close the gap on Germany. And, well, maybe they were too confident. French team, Sébastien Racquois. Remember, the French team have Jason Lamy Chapuis taking the anchor leg today. A man on form. He proved that earlier with the World Championships medal in the 10 kilometer 2 days ago. Into the stadium for the final leg athlete, Johannes Rydzek, the world champion, taking the anchor leg for Germany. What can Norway do to try and stop this runaway train, the German train of success at the moment? Mikko Kokslane would have been expected to have closed the gap. He tried, but not today. 33:09 on the clock coming into the terrible handover. Well, Johannes Rydzek was right in the last meters off this handover box, and it's 6.7. So Mikko Kokslane did find something when it mattered most in the latter stages of his race. France, the champions from 2 years ago. It's an awful lot of work to do for Jason Lamy Chapuis. Not sure he's going to achieve just that, but it is only 15 seconds, 15.8. Looks to me like Austria are out of it at this stage, and further back down the track as Austria take off the American team, United States, from 8th position up into 6th. But now down to 1:30 behind. Italy just behind them, and it's, of course, their anchor leg in Alessandro Pittin, fastest skier, really. Looks like Italy may pull back to 6th, and Czech Republic in 8th, with Finland in 9th position. Anyway, back up to the front. Johannes Rydzek. Oh, beautiful, beautiful skiing from Jürgen Grobak. Well, the action on the final leg of the Gundersen, the Team Gundersen 4x5 kilometers. And 2 laps. This is the first lap, and the gap is closing rapidly. I think this is a good strategy from Jürgen Grobak. He's trying to close it down quickly, the 8 seconds deficit. Jason Lamy Chapuis in 3rd place. He's trying equally to close the gap on Jürgen Grobak. Gold, silver and bronze. At the moment, Germany, Norway and France. Well, Johannes Rydzek, he didn't rotate his head, but of course he saw what was happening behind him, and it's Jürgen Grobak clawing back the time. Now we'll get a chance here on the split timing to check the damage on this, the final leg. At 1.3 kilometers, it was 12, it's now 6.7. Jason Lamy Chapuis with that lower leg injury in January. He's had a lot of people working on it to try and improve. And it's looking good. It's looking good, 17 seconds behind. And I think we can say at this stage, with Austria and Sepp Schneider trying so hard to close the gap in France, I think we can safely say that the 3 teams at the moment in the medal contention will be the 3 teams which will take the gold, silver and bronze. Maybe not in the order they're in right now, with Germany, Norway and France, because it's an awful long way back to Austria. It's 40 seconds back to Austria, with Germany 6.7 back to Norway, and then 17 back to France and 40 back to Austria. Beautiful conditions here as the final flicker of the sun has just come through the clouds as daylight drops off here in Falun. And Johannes Rydzek charges up the biggest climb, pursued from Jürgen Grobak, trying to close down the lead time of Germany, but working hard to do so, but not doing it very fast. He's now on nearly 1.8 kilometers of the 2.5 kilometer track with one more lap to go. And I must say, it's great to see Jason Lamy Chapuis back in his best. He said he felt good 3 days ago. He said he'd feel better as the days went on, and I think that's exactly what he's showing us today. You can see now in the sunshine, the fading sunshine in Falun, the snow is splashing up in the ski poles there of Johannes Rydzek, but he's feeling good. He's been feeding off the energy that he is managing to hold Jürgen Grobak at bay. And I think Jason Lamy Chapuis is feeding off the fact that Jürgen Grobak doesn't look to be on his best form today. Normally the fastest on the cross-country skis, the cross-country part of the Nordic combined. What a combination, jumping off the 100-meter hill, and then later in the competition off the large hill, and then later in the day skiing the endurance of cross-country skiing. Today it's only 5 kilometers, team relay, but of course the ski up to 15 kilometers. Now, what is going to happen here with 2.5 to go? Jürgen Grobak has been caught a little short. He closed the gap, he closed it well to 6.7, and I think that Johannes Rydzek has managed to open it up just a little again. Last time of asking with 2.5 kilometers to go, and the gap is so close, 9.7 seconds. Can Norway find this little bit of time that's being asked of them to take them up to challenge the gold? What about France? Now 10 seconds. Jason Lamy Chapuis has tried and tried to close this door, close the gap. It worked early on, it's extended back out again. What a race. When it's the World Championships and the medals being fought, special performances seem to come out of these athletes. And what a beautiful setting, the cloud just opening up. And you can see the stadium there. And you can see Schneider at 48 seconds behind. He's tried, he really has tried, but I think we can safely say at this time that it's not going to be an Austrian medal. It was at the Olympic Games, they were third. It was at the World Championships in 2011 in Holmenkollen in Austria. It was at the Olympics the previous year with a gold medal, but Austria out of it today, I think. Still not over, but it's not looking good. Jürgen Grobak trying to find something from somewhere to pull back the time. Great to see the images on the impeccable skiing here at the front of the race. The gold medal position at the moment. Johannes Rydzek pushing so hard, trying so hard to secure another gold medal. Jürgen Grobak, you can almost feel such a easy skier, does it so well. He's taken this corner wide on the entrance because the snow is more compact on the outside. He's realizing that he's safe in second, but he's desperate to close the gap to first. Let's have a look at the time. 41.04. Now, it was 9.7. Then it extended out a little. The final flurry here from Jürgen Grobak to try and do something for Norway. I think they were supremely confident before this one, and now they're being caught short. They're being caught asking for some more ski pace. All the while it's feeding the French team and Jason Lamy Chapuis, former overall World Cup leader, been off the boil, off form the last couple of years. And Eric Frenzel has been the man the last couple of years to hold the yellow jersey right the way through to the end of the season. But that's the World Cup. This is the World Championships, and it's all about Germany. They started ahead at the beginning of the day by 4 seconds. Japan in the early stages caught and passed with Kato. And then really, it's been all about Germany. And this has got to be an inspired moment from Johannes Rydzek. He couldn't believe his deep dream coming true 3 days ago to take the gold. And it's another dream come true today, but he has to negotiate this climb, then the fast descent. But look at the gap. So inspired, and destroyed the expected attack from Jürgen Grobak, but he hasn't been able to find anything today at the races. Norway secure-ish, I think secure, in silver medal at the moment. You can see way ahead there Johannes, having just descended the fastest of the climbs on this fairly easy course for the Nordic combines. Closing stages of the race, and it's France in the bronze medal position, looks safe in bronze medal position. Germany looking good for the gold, and it's been an all-out attack, a charge, a fantastic skiing performance from the German quartet. A team on form. Eric Frenzel, I thought, had lost his spark, but he found it again today. And nothing the Norwegian team, who were supremely confident that they could find their deficit of 28 seconds. They got it down to 9. In fact, they got it down to 6. But it's dropped back again. The German team so strong on the tracks around Falun. Well done, Jason Lamy, Chapuis. He really has tried, and he was almost breathing on the Norwegian charge, Jürgen Grobak. But it didn't work. I think his setback with his lower leg injury, he lost a little bit of form. It is coming back though. You can hear the German team cheering loudly already, and another gold medal for Rydzek. This time it's in the team competition. The 4x5 kilometer Team Gundersen competition. The world champions, Germany, for the first time in a very long time. No Olympic gold, no World Championship gold, all the way back to 2006. Well, I don't think they can believe it, and I don't think Norway can believe that they didn't manage to close the 28-second deficit. But silver medal for Team Norway, and disappointment, I think, from Jürgen Grobak and the Norwegian team. Silver is good though, it's a world champions. They will hold their heads high, and well done to the French team. They thought they had a chance, a flicker of hope for the gold. It was a slim chance, and ending up 39 seconds behind. So gold to Germany, silver to the Norwegians, and bronze to the French team. Mentioned that great team spirit in the French team. And you can see the exhausted Norwegian team. Disappointment on their faces. So we've got a charge here. Alessandro Pittin, how does he do it? All the way back, he was in 7th position and moving up into 4th. Italy, Austria and Japan taking up 4th, 5th and 6th position. So Alessandro Pittin once again setting the fastest individual time on this 5 kilometers, but only managing to pull Italy well up into 4th place. I say only, it's very good, but they would have loved the 3rd position, the bronze medal. Well, the world of Nordic combined will be thinking, what do we have to do to slow this amazing German team down? Well, they need to jump a little further and ski a little faster. Well, these are the scenes, and what a gold medal means to the German team. It's the World Championships, and it's gold. And the American team, well, the Fletcher brothers pulled the time back to a potential charge for the medal, but slipped back a little in the closing stages to 2:37, 8th position, started 8th and finished 8th for the American team. I beg your pardon, finished 7th for the American team, with Japan just ahead of them. Well, a couple of days, in fact, a day off tomorrow for everybody at the World Championships, and many of the athletes already, day 5, looking forward to that break. And then we have the cross-country women's 10-kilometer on Tuesday, followed by the men's 15-kilometer on Wednesday. And in terms of Nordic combined, we have the large hill on Thursday, and then the Gundersen at 3:15 in the afternoon, the individual on the large hill. So that's Thursday. So some days of training, some days of thinking. As the Czech Republic crossed the line 3:46 behind in 8th position. Well, party at the German team tonight, I reckon. And well, they didn't ever look threatened. I loved the way that Tino Edelman played it. It's comfortable, easy within himself the first lap, as Finland come through, a team in the making. But the team, I must say, the Finnish team beginning to look stronger in many aspects of the Nordic combined. So hopefully we'll see them threatening again soon at major championships, but a lot of work to do. There's Alessandro Pittin, there's the short but strong figure, the Italian setting the fastest time on the tracks. We did it, boys, we did it together. And that's a very, very happy team. Let them breathe. You need to air. And you can just see what that means to the German team. So long since they've taken the gold at the major championships. Silver at the Olympics. Silver at the World Championships 2011. Bronze at the Olympics 2010. Silver at the World Championships 2009, and silver in 2007, and silver in 2006 at the World Championships. They put all those ghosts of past races behind them, and on the podium at the high point today. Well, hope you've enjoyed it. The day's racing and a day off from everybody, or for everybody, tomorrow. But back on Tuesday with the women's 10-kilometer individual start. Next, it's the mixed team, the new competition here. It's the HS100 for the mixed team competition. Patrick Winterton, your host for that. Hope you enjoyed that, and thanks for your company. See you again on Tuesday for the women's 10-kilometer individual start. Goodbye for now.